What is going on, Pats Nation? It's Patriots Global here, back with another video, and this one, I need to touch on the topic of Matthew Stafford, and I'm not just going to be talking about the trade to the Rams or whatever, because, you know, people here are Patriots fans. People don't really care about the trade to the Rams and whatnot. They care about how does this affect New England, and this affects New England because, as you probably read with the title, Matthew Stafford refused to play with New England. There was one team he said, do not ship me there. That one team was New England. And of course, before we get into that video, I do want you guys to go ahead, click the link in the description below, also pinned in the first comment in the comment section below. Go ahead. This is completely free, guys. This costs you nothing. It's for fun. Bet on who you think is going to win the Super Bowl. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers or Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Completely free. Make your bet. And guess what? Just by betting on who you think is going to win, you could potentially win a PS5. You heard that right. I mean, what would be stopping you from just betting on who you think is going to win a Super Bowl? It's free, and you could maybe even win a PS5 out of it. Go ahead and click the link, y'all. Now, of course, before we get too much into this, I do just want to go over what this trade was. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Matthew Stafford was traded to Detroit, and Matthew Stafford was traded from Detroit to the Rams, and Jared Goff was traded from the Rams to Detroit. But the Rams gave up a heck of a lot of picks also, not just Jared Goff. For Matthew Stafford, they gave up 2 first-round picks and a 2021 third-round pick. So they gave up 2 firsts, a third, and Jared Goff in exchange for Matthew Stafford. Look, y'all, I was all for Matthew Stafford. I was all for Stafford coming to New England. I thought that he would be a nice quarterback for the Patriots. I think that with the right team, he's easily a top 10 quarterback in this league. Easy, hands down. For me, it all came down to what was New England going to give up for him, because look, he is in his 30s. I'm not giving up an arm and a leg for him, right? Now that I see exactly what the Rams gave up, I'm okay with the Patriots not having had traded for him, right? We knew that at least 1 first-round pick was going to be in play. I was not going to give anything more than a first and a mid to late round pick. 2 firsts is insane. I can't believe the Rams were even considering giving up 2 firsts. They must really think that he is their future if they're giving up 2 first-round picks, a quarterback, and a third-round pick. And Jared Goff is a starting caliber quarterback too. It was actually reported what the New England Patriots did offer for Matthew Stafford. Of course, it doesn't matter what it was because Stafford said, yo, I'm not playing for New England. But it was reported that the New England Patriots offered a second-round pick and a player. Super, super interesting because you look at what they offered. A player and a second-round pick versus Jared Goff, 2 firsts and a third. New England was not even close. Once New England heard what other teams were giving up, or at least potentially giving up in this trade, New England, Belichick, he said, I'm not giving that, I'm backing up. So obviously, Belichick was in on Stafford, but he didn't care all that much to get Stafford, which makes me think that Belichick does have other plans. You know, there's other options in his mind that he felt, look, if I don't land Matthew Stafford, it's not the end-all be-all. And the fact that he only offered a second pick and a player kind of proves that point. And now, obviously, the most interesting part about the New England Patriots aspect on what they were potentially willing to give up is what player was it? You know, we don't know what player it was that New England was okay with giving up, but if they knew that Detroit was looking for at least a first-round pick, and they heard other teams were willing to give this up, New England had to have offered some type of elite end player to really entice the Detroit Lions, because it's not like they would be like, oh, okay, well, here's Jawan Bentley. They're not going to be like, oh, here's N'Keal Harry. It had to have been a player that has at least 1 year on their contract and would have helped the Detroit Lions in some type of way. right? Whether that is a young player that helps build for the long future and the rebuild that they're going through, or a veteran that's going to help teach these younger guys that Detroit is going to bring in. Could it have potentially been a guy like Stephon Gilmore? A building piece like J.C. Jackson? An opt-out piece, maybe somebody like a Dante Hightower or a Kyle, or not a Kyle Van Noy, but a Dante Hightower or a Marcus Cannon? So I think that's probably the most interesting part in that aspect, especially because, look, obviously there's a player New England was okay with shipping off. And obviously this is a player that New England added in this trade that was enticing enough for them to think, hey, maybe this could help us land Matthew Stafford. So I really wish we knew who it was, and I hope at some point we figure that out, because this player could be on the hot seat as we enter free agency. Now, I think the biggest question that a lot of people have is going to be, what the heck, why did he not want to play for New England, A lot of people used to want to play for New England because it was Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, the New England Patriots who went to the Super Bowl every year. Obviously, this is at the quarterback position. Tom Brady's not here. The New England Patriots had a rough 2020 season, but it's still the best franchise in NFL history, and you do still have Bill Belichick. So what aspect of this did Matthew Stafford say, hey, out of all teams, don't ship me to New England? Well, number one, Matthew Stafford told the Detroit Lions, look, I want to be traded somewhere warm. I don't want to be traded somewhere cold. Immediately, people said New England, the Colts, they're probably out of the question. Teams that were most likely in were going to be teams like the 49ers and then teams like the Rams. I actually posted on my Instagram story that I think it could potentially be the 49ers because they have such good building blocks. Kyle Shanahan, they have good receivers, tight ends. I mean, that is your ideal place to go. But he ultimately went to the Rams and he got what he wanted. He went somewhere warm. The other piece could have been, hey, he doesn't want to go back to somewhere like Detroit. I mean, he asked to leave Detroit. He's wanted to leave Detroit for a while. They're a team that doesn't really have a future. They haven't been going to the playoffs. They're not a Super Bowl contender, and they don't have that many great pieces. Yes, they did have Galladay, they did have Jones, so they did have some pretty decent receivers, but their offensive line was terrible. On New England's spectrum, there's a lot of question marks that this team has. Matthew Stafford doesn't want to come in and get traded to New England, which, one, is cold as anything, and two, is full of question marks, They're full of question marks at who would he be throwing the ball to? Is he going to have real weapons? He knows that he has a running game to rely on, but, he wants to look good as a quarterback too. He wants his statistics to look good. He wants to perform well. He's not going to be able to do that if he doesn't have anyone to throw the ball to. Is Belichick going to go out and actively get him weapons, or is this going to be a situation where it's been the past couple of seasons where he's throwing to a Damiere Byrd, Jacoby Myers, N'Keal Harry? And New England also has questions on when are they going to be legit contenders again. It's not that they can't be contenders next year or the year after, but there's just so many question marks surrounding this team that there's so many unknowns for players, and should I go and sign with New England or not? Because, again, a big reason people wanted to go to New England, wanted to be traded, wanted to sign there. 1, Tom Brady, 2, Bill Belichick, 3, they were a winning franchise who went to the Super Bowl every year. No one wants to be a loser. Nobody wants to sit back, not play games. Nobody wants to sit back and have their season be done come January. They want to be in the playoffs and make a potential Super Bowl run. Is New England still that team to do so? And then the third and final reason that I heard people saying on why Matthew Stafford potentially didn't want to come to New England was because the Patriots signed Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia, of course, was the former head coach for the Detroit Lions. A lot of people had respect for him before he was a head coach. Then he became the head coach of the Detroit Lions, and everyone said, not Matthew Stafford, but said, hey, Matt Patricia, we hate that guy. I don't like that guy. I have zero respect for that guy. And so that was a big thing that a lot of people assumed, well, I guess the Patriots picked Matt Patricia over a Matthew Stafford. And could that be part of it? Sure. We don't know everything. We don't know everything that goes on in Detroit and how things went while Matt Patricia was there. But at the same time, I wouldn't lean towards that one just because, hey, Matt Patricia isn't a head coach. Matt Patricia is not the offensive coordinator. Matt Patricia isn't even really a coach on New England. And even if he was, he'd be defensive, and that has nothing to do with Matthew Stafford. So Stafford would not have to worry about Matt Patricia in even the slightest, especially because now Patricia is going to be more of a scouting guy, kind of an assistant, and just someone who's going to help to build the roster and the personnel. So really, there's no reason that would even be a factor for Matthew Stafford, because he wouldn't have a say in anything Stafford did. So for me, I think the big reason that this didn't go down was because Stafford wanted to play somewhere warm. That's the exact opposite that it is here in Boston. And then two, I just think that he wanted to go somewhere where he was going to perform well. He was going to have weapons. He was going to have an offensive line. And while the Patriots have an offensive line in a run game, they don't have weapons, and there's big question marks surrounding that. And he doesn't want to potentially go somewhere like he was with Detroit. Now, y'all, real quick, I do want to talk about my boys over here at betonline.ag, the sponsors of this video. The Super Bowl is here, and you can get in with all of the action only at BetOnline. Tampa Bay, the first team in NFL history to play for the title on their home field, and they are actually currently a 3.5-point underdog. Yeah, Tom Brady's an underdog in this game. And they're going against the Kansas City Chiefs, who are looking for back-to-back titles for the first time in almost 2 decades, guys. It is Tom Brady, the GOAT, against the next in line in Patrick Mahomes. BetOnline has hundreds of props for this upcoming Super Bowl, and it's super cool. This is including game MVP that you can bet on, margin of victory you can bet on, and even the length of the national anthem. So many cool things y'all can bet on, and you only get it over at BetOnline. Do not sit on the sidelines anymore, y'all. Get in with the action, and do not forget to use that promo code CLNS50 for your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. What are your guys' thoughts on Matthew Stafford? What are your guys' thoughts on the trade to the Rams? I'm really curious about everyone's thoughts on that one. And then, of course, what are your thoughts on him not wanting to specifically play for New England? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to give this video a big thumbs up, y'all, and subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. Like always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.